Preview for the Brooklyn Nets starts right now. We welcome you back inside our studios here in Atlanta. It is our team preview of the Brooklyn Nets over the next 30 minutes. We'll give you 10 points and take you A to Z through the Nets' upcoming season. To help me out, this is our Mike Fratello, Caron Butler along with me, and guys, they are free. The Nets don't have to hear, well, they're probably still going to hear about it, let's be honest, about all the picks and the trades, but now they can, as an organization, there's a fresh look. They can move forward. We can think about the Nets moving forward finally.
Absolutely. That's exactly what they have to look forward to. And I look at this situation with the Nets, correct me if I'm wrong, but trust the process part 2. That's what I'm going to call it. And you're going to see pretty much a lot of similarities to what you've seen in Philadelphia with that organization and with young talent and building and trying to find what direction and the identity of the ball club and the identity of the organization going forward.
If we're being totally honest, as you just mentioned about
we always are being totally honest, Coach.
Brett Brown was not expected to win the first couple of years. They were filtering through a variety of players. They were trying to let draft picks build up so they eventually could pick good players to help their team long-term down the road. And that's what happened with Sean Marks and Kenny Atkinson, the GM and head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. When that gigantic trade took place back with Boston, it devastated this franchise for years. And as a result, they are now just finally starting to recover. So the process for them has been, let's try and find a gem somewhere. Let's try and steal somebody with a second-round pick that we can develop over the next couple of years. And now, this is the year that we can finally start to put expectations on where we are and where we're going to be in the next year or so.
And, Coach, you know that fan base, and it's a great area, and they want a winner there. They got so excited after this trade it was going to get to that level, and it didn't. Now they can think about it. They're going to have draft picks. The draft is at Barclays Center. They can have draft picks at Barclays Center. So they're going to be excited about that, and they have money to spend. So now it's about showing what kind of a destination, Caron, can you be? Because we've heard Brooklyn mentioned. We had obviously the conversation with Jimmy Butler recently, among others, and you start to hear, well, Brooklyn's a team. It's got money. It's obviously a place where you'd like to see a winner. So now they get to try and present themselves as credible for free agents moving forward.
Absolutely. It's still the Big Apple, the other side of the apple, but it's still the Big Apple. I look at them like the Los Angeles Clippers in Los Angeles, where you have the Lakers, probably the preferred destination for a lot of teams, but then you have the Clippers also where, hey, look, if that don't work, I can still go there. I can still do all these things in that market. So I look at the Brooklyn Nets the same way, and as you mentioned, a lot of young talent, they're developing on the fly. You look at Spencer Dinwiddie in the season that he just had this past season. You got to have key developmental guys in that position to keep these young guys moving at a rapid pace so it can be the carrot to draw a lot of talent there.
They drew some picks and also drew the need for a pronunciation guide. Coach?
Go for it.
I'll take, let me see. I'll take Karokas.
Okay, that works for me. Zanan Musa on the other side. Look, they are clearly moving in international talent. And it's so funny because the game has changed, Coach, because years ago we would sit there and say, well, what guys did over there overseas doesn't matter here anymore. We just saw, obviously, the retirement of one of the greats, a Hall of Famer, Manu Ginobili. You think about Dirk. Now, these could be two of the core guys moving forward for the Nets for all we know.
Yeah, and they're going to have the patience to develop these players as they have started already a year ago with a couple of young guys that they had, Allen being one of them, who's just a baby, but he showed so much growth last year as a potential big man, versatile offensive and defensive player. But that's what Kenny Atkinson and his staff are all about, developing young people, putting the time in. I wanted to mention this. I thought it was very important. When Sean Marks got there, the first thing he had to do was change the culture, how people thought, how you acted in Brooklyn. And I think this is a tremendous statement. Last season, I believe 13 out of their 14 players lived in Brooklyn. That's unheard of. That's never happened before. They're either in Manhattan, they're in Connecticut, they're in New Jersey. They all bought into living in Brooklyn And that's the beginning, I think, right there.
Yeah, I love that. It's such a great area. And look, there's so much of an international feel in that area. I think they'll embrace these players. You think about Kenny Atkinson. This group, we sit here night after night and we cover so many games. They were outmatched, out-talented many times, but they never were out-efforted or out-prepared. It always seemed like Kenny had this club ready to play.
Really, he really did. He did an excellent job of what you said, developing the young guys on the fly, and his influence was, second to none. Had the guys playing at an unbelievable rate, believing in themselves. Some of the guys even going out there having out-of-body performances at times. So, they're going to have to continue to do this going forward. They have an identity now. They have a wealth of young talent that's headed in the right direction, and, looking forward to the marathon of the season from these guys.
You think about the growth of the players. You got to witness it firsthand. What was it that Kenny Atkinson and his staff did that enabled some of these players like Allen, Dinwiddie, among others, to grow the way they did this past season?
Part of it is giving them the confidence and the green light to go ahead and try these things. There's a certain system that Kenny Atkinson wants to play in. He wants to play up-tempo. He wants to get shots up more quickly. He wants three-pointers to be taken by the team, and he allowed his players to do that. They had so many opportunities at the end of games in those last 3 minutes where they led and just could not hold on at the end. There are two glaring things, I would say, coming into this season: defense and rebounding. They hopefully address, by bringing in Kenneth Faried and then Ed Davis from Portland. Two guys that can rebound and hit that glass for you. So maybe that's the beginning of them correcting some of the problems.
Talking about growth as a franchise, we saw it from one player, a premier player, at least from where he was picked in the draft last year, when you think about the growth that we saw in D'Angelo Russell.
Russell, the handles, and the deuce. Russell, the J. He's got it. Russell takes advantage. Special. There's Russell. Oh, he's feeling it.
In the situation in L.A., let's say it like it is. It was kind of a mess in a lot of different ways, and not because he's not talented. It just didn't fit. How much did you see him more comfortable on the floor when we saw him healthy before and after the injury last year?
I saw him a lot more comfortable, and for numerous reasons, because you had a guy in Spencer Dinwiddie that was playing at an amazing clip. So you had to come back, and it was pressure on you to perform at alarming rate immediately. And when he came back, being pretty much the face of this organization, especially with Lopez gone, he had to perform at a high level and be consistent while doing that after sitting out some time. And he came back and he did exactly that. But going forward, I want to see more. It's a lot of expectations on him as a young quality player, and I think that he will deliver.
Coach, where did he get better last year from what you saw?
Well, there's no question that the microscope is on this young man. He's number 2 pick in the draft back in 2015. And to go along with what you said about Dinwiddie, Nets won 28 games a year ago. 18 of those 28 wins were with Dinwiddie starting, not D'Angelo Russell. So I think when he came back from the injury, he knew how well Dinwiddie was playing, and he knew what the fans expected of him, and he stepped up his game. This guy's a big shot maker. He can make shots.
He's a gamer.
Can he help a team win? That's what I'm waiting to see. Can he take that leadership role and bring guys together and get W's on the board? There's no question he's talented. There's no question this guy can knock down shots and with range. But can he get a team to win?
Is it too early to answer the question whether or not he can ever live up to being the face of a franchise when you're a number 2 overall pick? Sometimes we want things now. I think of Victor Oladipo. Look at what he did last year. There were people for a while saying, Karan, that he wasn't going to live up to that pick. He is now. Can we see Russell get there someday?
I hope so, and I think so. You saw that with Victor, because he went and joined a budding superstar where he learned all the traits of being consistent and all these things. D'Angelo Russell had one of the greatest players, if not the greatest player ever to grace the stage, in Kobe Bryant. So you was playing up under him. So those things, the seeds that he planted in you, should be, evolving right now and, flourishing. So this is an interesting year for him, and this is go time for D'Angelo Russell.
Let me just mention something that happens over and over again now in our league. And Allen with Brooklyn is another example. 18 years old when he came into the NBA. We have so many of these young players that come in at 18, 19 years old. their maturity level isn't close to what it has to be a successful player in the NBA. They don't understand. They don't get it. They don't know how hard they have to work. How many will come back in years 2 and 3 with their body fat much lower than it is in the first year that they come in? They think they're in good shape, but then they don't understand how to eat properly. And by the time they get done learning from the NBA clubs, they're different players. They've transformed their body. They can do different things.
You talked about Allen. You may have first at home noticed him because of his hair, but you stayed paying attention because of his play. We'll break down his growth. Take a look at the Nets depth chart heading into this season when we come back.